Okay, now to continue following the script, let's just go over there to the script here. Now we're going to go get the lagoon shot and put it on top of this first line of dialogue. So let's go back to Premiere and let's move our playback head to the beginning and let's mark in there. And then let's play the first line of dialogue, hitting the space bar.
If we don't save the rainforest, what will happen?
And right here, mark out. Now this time we're going to put a piece of video. So let's go down here and find the lagoon shot, double click, and here's the lagoon shot. Now we can preview using the current time indicator and take a quick look at the shot here, and it's basically pretty much the same all the way through. So we're going to go here somewhere close to the beginning and mark I for end. Now what we have going on here is what's called a 3-point edit. Okay, we have two points in the timeline, an end point at the beginning of the project and an out point after the first line of dialogue. This is telling Premiere Pro that we want to put the piece of video right here, and the length that we're going to need is indicated here, 2 seconds and 19 frames. Now over here in the source we've marked in at the beginning. So what this duration is telling us now here, since we have not marked an out point, is from the end point all the way to the end of the available clip we have 6 seconds and 2 frames when we only need 2 seconds and 19 frames. So what Premiere will do is, again, it will match this endpoint to the endpoint that's on the timeline, and then it will take the next 2 seconds and 19 frames forward and lay it down here in the timeline. Now again, you have to come over here and watch out for the target tracks. If this piece had video and audio, there would be target tracks here available. But since it does not, it only has the video source here, we only have to worry about targeting the video to video track number 1. So here we are. Let's go ahead and do an overwrite edit, and you'll see it took the exact piece and laid it right on that first shot.
If we don't save the rainforest, what will happen?
The trees will...
And now if we go and check our script again real quickly, as the music cuts in here, we've got a space between the end of this line and the end of this shot to the beginning of this line where the child says, "The trees will all fall down." So let's go back to the timeline. Let's go to here and snap to the end of this first piece of video and mark in, and then we'll go forward until the child is about to say, and you can visually see here the waveform, the line, and mark out. So again, we've got our 2 points of our 3-point edit here, telling Premiere that we want to put the shot starting here and ending here on the timeline. It's asking for 1 second and 17 frames. Now the shot is Jungle Run, so let's go ahead and double click. And again, we'll just briefly skim through this. It's kind of a frantic sort of literally what it says, run through the jungle here. So we're going to go again close to the beginning and mark I for end. Again, it's going to take this endpoint and match it to the endpoint in the timeline, and then we'll take the next 1 second and 17 frames forward to put this piece of video down on the timeline. Again, we're targeting the video 1 track, and we're performing an overwrite edit. So let's go ahead and execute that, and then let's take a quick look at it. And you'll notice the cut point happens right on the music beat.
If we don't save the rainforest, what will happen?
The trees will all fall
The
down.
shot ends just as the child begins that line. Now let's go back to the script again just briefly. The child says the trees will all fall down. The shot we want here is tree pan. Now technically we could put this tree pan shot all the way until this next line of dialogue because there's no other shots called for. But right now let's just mark in and out on the actual dialogue itself. So let's go back to Premiere. And here, let's snap to the end of the Jungle Run shot. You see the little indicator there indicating we're right at the end of that shot. We're going to mark I for end. And then we're going to just play forward using the space bar. Again, we could use this button here, but using the keyboard's a little bit more efficient. You'll see the keyboard shortcut is right there indicated. So let's, as soon as the line is over, the trees will all fall down, we're going to stop and mark out.
The trees will all fall down.
Stop, mark out. Now again, there's the in and out point. There's the highlighted region. It's 2 seconds and 13 frames. We're going to go down here and get tree pan. Everything's in alphabetical order. Double click. Again, we can use the current time indicator to kind of scrub through the shot to kind of see what we've got. It's exactly what it says it is. It's a tree pan. So we can use anywhere in here, but I kind of like it right about here. So let's go ahead and mark in. Again, from here to the end of the clip, we have 6 seconds and 17 frames. We only need 2 seconds and 13 frames, so we have plenty of media to fill that up. This endpoint is going to march to that endpoint and take the next 2 seconds and 13 frames forward and fill up this shot. So let's go ahead and perform the overwrite. Boom, there it is. So just a brief overview.
If we don't save the rainforest, what will happen?
The trees will all fall down.
And there we have it. Now we're going to move on into the next part, and it says there won't be a place for the animals to live. And between that line and the next line, which is the plants that cure people will disappear, we've got to make space to put 3 shots in there. That's what a montage is a group of shots. And we're going to take snake, frog, and monkey. So let's go back to Premiere. Okay, so let's snap the playhead back to the end of the tree pan shot. And we know where the next line is starting in the dialogue. If we quickly look back at the script, it's going to be, there won't be a place for the animals to live. So that's our next piece of dialogue. Let's go forward to that and mark I for N. And just listen.
There won't be a place for the animals to live.
So let's mark out there, but that's only 2 seconds. Now we're not going to get 3 shots into this 2 seconds. So if we go back and look at the script, we've got all of this space in between. It says there won't be a place for the animals to live, and then the next line, which is the plants that cure people, will all disappear. So let's go ahead and push this forward to here and mark out there. So now we have 7 seconds to get 3 shots inside there. But we're not going to try to get real creative and do math with the time code or anything like that. Let's just go to the first shot it's calling for back on the script, which is the snake. So let's go back to the snake shot, double click. Now part of the snake shot, the snake is kind of down behind this leaf, and then he's kind of behind the stem here. So let's wait till he gets sort of in between where we can really see him. And that looks like a good place to start. So we mark in. We're going to clear the out point here. I'm just going to right click and clear the out point. Just right click here in the scrubber bar. So we have plenty of footage to work with. We have 7 seconds that we've got to cover up. So again, we're targeting just the video 1 track with no audio, and go ahead and lay that shot in there. Now this is covering the entire space. If we were just leaving the snake shot, this is what it would look like.
There won't be a place for the animals to live.
So that's kind of a long time to leave that snake on there. So let's go about a third of the way. So the snake will be the first third of the shot, roughly. And we're just eyeballing this. We're not trying to do any math with the time code. And we'll mark in here, okay? Now let's just, to make it simple, let's just snap all the way to the end here and mark out. So that's where our next shot is going to be. And our next shot is the frog. So let's go here to the frog. Double click. Load it into the source monitor. Now if we take a look at the frog, he takes kind of a little jump and then he jumps again. So let's put him right before he makes that little walk forward. Right before that. Right about there. Let's mark in. And again, we have our 3-point edit. We have an in point in the source, and we have an in and out in the timeline. We're targeting the video 1 track. Let's go ahead and do an overwrite. And again, the frog is now there, so
There won't be a place for the animals to live.
and then right after the frog sort of jumps out of the frame, so we don't want to look at that blank green area. Come in and mark I for N, and then go to the end of this and mark O for out, and get our last shot, which is monkey. So when we double click for the monkey, we're going to clear the out point here. So just right click inside the scrubber bar, clear the out point. So we have our in and out here on the timeline, and our end point here for the monkey, and go ahead and drop that shot in there. So here we have the shots that
If
we
we
want in the
don't
order.
save the rainforest, what will happen?
The trees will all fall down. There won't be a place for the animals to live. The plants that cure.
And that's where we've taken it so far.